Good Thursday morning from Bolivar, Missouri. This is my last day here. I'm getting ready to pack. I'm gonna put the boxes of stuff that I got, plus my luggage and other stuff into my car before I head on out to go back home to Maryland. It's been a wonderful break for me. I left for Missouri early Friday morning, and now it's Thursday morning, and I thought I'd reflect why I made the trip, and at the same time, the reason why I collect toys and why I love going back to this quiet corner of Missouri where this fantastic toy shop store is located, and this wonderful person who has brought joy and therapy to me because I collect G.I. Joe, Transformers, and now it seems a third favorite of mine, Star Trek figures. So I started collecting. Well, I started to collect again toys in 2007, 2008. And initially, I really didn't think about it. Growing up, I also collected and bought G.I. Joe, Transformers, Motu figures because I had this wonderful godfather who spoiled me as I was growing up. Growing up in a all-boys school in a Jesuit institution back home in the Philippines, every time there's a birthday party, kids would actually give G.I. Joes to the people that attend their birthday party. And I remember the very first action figure I got was a Flint. And then from there, I said, hey, Flint is not enough. So I started to get a Crimson Guard and then a Cobra Trooper. And then that snowballed into action figures that I collected. So those Crimson Twins with a hook and that cool sidearm. And then during that time also, I had friends who, aside from G.I. Joes, they were also collecting Transformers or Motu figures. So as I grew up, I also amassed those. And all through high school and college, I forgot about them because when you grew up, you divert into other things, in particular girls and playing the guitar. So all that time, I left my toys back home. And when I went back, after I migrated to the United States, I asked my mom, hey mom, where are my comic books and my G.I. Joe figures? And she said, well, your comic books are probably gone because the termites probably ate them. So she threw like 3 boxes of comic books. Mostly the comic books I had were Transformers, G.I. Joes, and Marvel. I remember my favorite was X-Men, so I had a good collection of those. And I even started to collect, those crossover What If comic books. My favorite is the one that had Batman, Superman crashing his shuttle, his spaceship into Gotham City. So Batman was actually Kal-El, and he grew up to be Batman that could fly. So that was one of my favorite comic books, aside from the Infinity Gauntlet series. And then when I migrated to the United States about 22 years ago, after I got married and my wife went home one Christmas, I was just mulling around Walmart looking at things, and by that time, the Retaliation, Rise of Cobra toys have been out for some time, and they were actually bombing in the shelves. So when I found this Crimson Guard figure and it was selling for like I don't know, maybe $2-3, I was like, hey, this is nice. And then I looked around further and then I saw more Crimson Guards, and I remember as I was starting to collect GI Joes in fourth grade, I'm like, hey, I gotta get more Crimson Guards. So I started to collect, started a small set of GI Joe figures from that line. Also that time, the 25th series came out, so I started to collect more figures. And then vehicles were also selling really cheap. Like, can you imagine getting a Cobra Rattler, a His Tank, for less than $10? So when I found them, I started to, collect them. And then at the same time, I started finding Transformers Deluxe size figures. So that's where I got started with my Transformers collection. Now, I started collecting Transformers from that line because my brother liked the Transformers movies by Michael Bay. So, I thought maybe I'll get him a piece or two. So I got him some of those figures from the movie line. Send it home to him. Every once in a while, I see something, on sale. So I would grab it from my brother, still sealed in a box, and then ship it to my brother. And next thing I know, my brother is starting his own Transformer collection, and I'm building my G.I. Joe and Transformers collection here. So that started what I have. As my brother and I would joke, that kiss of death. See, when you start a toy line, you can't help but get another one until you build and amass, a certain series. But for me, unfortunately, I started to collect anything. So aside from G.I. Joe Transformers, I dabbled into Motu, I dabbled into Marvel, Universe figures, those 4-inch ones, Thundercats, Mask. I also started to collect those. So much toys were sold at a very nice price, and then some of them, because some sellers did not know their value, I was getting them for a very nice amount. So I started to collect and collect and collect until next thing I know, I had bins and bins of different lines of toys. And it was interesting because when you live in the United States and you are earning your own money, you can get practically almost anything. So, and there came a time that when my wife and I and our family would move houses, my wife was asking, hey, it seems to me your toys are getting more and more. Like, you used to have only 4 or 5 bins, and next thing I know, I had like a full room of toys. There was a time when we were living in a townhouse. I actually occupied the basement, and all the way to the laundry room. There were boxes and boxes of toys that I had. So maybe about 2-3 years ago, after the pandemic, I started to realize what my brother and I have been talking about, streamlining our collection. Because as I said, this kiss of death is going to kill me financially and physically. And if I don't stop it to a certain point, I might even get a divorce. So, but anyway, so maybe about a year ago, that's when I seriously started to think about what are the 3 things from my collection that I would like to keep. So I decided I was going to keep G.I. Joes, and I'm still feeling that idea, but I feel like I'm going to stick to G.I. Joes and any modern action figures that are in the 4-inch line. So that's why, aside from G.I. Joes, I've kept some of my Marvel Universe figures, and then I started to collect Joy Toy figures, so I'm keeping those. And then I think I still have some Thundercats. So when they did a modern release, I started to collect those. So I feel like G.I. Joe 4-inch lines are sticking into my collection. And then the same thing with Transformers. I do have masterpieces and those deluxe figures. And anything that's not in that line, I'm gonna probably put them aside. And when I come back next year to Bolivar, I'm gonna trade those with Rob. And then the last thing, see, in the 90s, I started to follow Star Trek The Next Generation. I mean, it was just, something that was playing on television. And growing up, till I started to work, every time I'm home during those long weekends or during the summer, I would just find myself rewatching that series with Captain Jean-Luc Picard, because of all the Star Trek characters that you have there with the different series. Jean-Luc stuck with me. So next thing I know, I'm collecting Star Trek figures. I mean, it started with just the crew, and then I was lucky enough to get the playset, the command center, the transporter room, the engine room, and then next thing I know, I'm collecting those shuttles and those even spaceship sets. So, and right now I'm like, oh my god, I have amassed Star Trek figures behind the scenes without me knowing it. I actually got a lot, like an opened lot of those from Rob in my recent purchase, that I'm like, I can actually sell those because they're unopened, they're sealed at the Star Trek convention. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna do my research on that, and probably start hitting some Facebook groups with the Star Trek Generation groups in mind. But the one thing that I seem to keep at the back of my mind, because my brother and I usually talk about the things that we collect, things that we add to our collection, is that why do we collect these? I mean, I'm a 48-year-old man with a 14-year-old son, and I'm still playing and collecting toys for kids. And then my brother and I, we would justify it as, well, it's our therapy. It's our way of reliving the past, going back, reliving memories that gave us joy, happiness, and in a way, contentment. Well, that's kind of ironic. Contentment, when you buy toys, you're never content. But it just brings back good memories of when we were young, when we didn't have a care in the world, where I was going to get the next figure, I was not going to worry about it, because if I go to my godfather, I'm sure when we go to that toy shop in a PX store in Pampanga, that's in the Philippines, I'm sure I get one too. My uncle will ask me, hey, maybe you want some more. That's why I amassed those toys while I was growing up. I had the really very kind and endearing godfather that spoiled me. And now that I'm this age, I'm spoiling myself. So the toys that I collect give me a sense of amazement. It gives me a sense of wonder, and at the same time, that imagination that you get, that wonder, and at the same time, it's something that I hope I can share with my son. See, I started to get rid of big action figures because it seems my son's not interested in them. I mean, the classified line, I hope I can start some interest in him, because that's a way for him to start into G.I. Joe collecting. And otherwise, I realize if my son does not pick that up, I probably will trade them away. But the toys not only give me joy, give me contentment and happiness, but it serves a purpose for me. In particular, I know information, I know things about them that may seem trivial, may seem nonsensical, but it triggers memory in my head. It makes me realize, hey, I can actually know things about mundane things that may be trivial for you, because you don't know anything about G.I. Joe. But to me, that's something that I enjoy. That's something that I like. That's something that keeps me preoccupied. And when I reach out to different people that are in the same passion, like my friends here in Bolivar, like Rob, or with my brother, when we talk on the phone, when I ask him, hey, what did you get recently? So there's a connection, and that's something that I keep when I have this toy collection in mind. So if you're a fellow toy collector, fellow toy hunter, and fellow toy enthusiast, keep that passion. Your wife or your significant other might not understand it. I mean, I've met a couple of people these past few days, and I am pleasantly surprised that there are also women there that support their significant other or their husband's collection. Like there was this couple that I met, I was like, man, I wish you would talk to my wife. But if you are that person supporting a fellow toy collector, toy enthusiast, please, continue to understand. Please support him or her, because that's one way that this person is keeping their sanity sometimes. It's a way to relax. It's a way to bring back good memories, because in this day and age, it is difficult to find happiness and contentment. So if you are one of those that have that husband or wife, you may not understand why that person is spending so much money on those things. Look at it this way: you have your own passion. So for us, gentlemen and ladies who collect G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Star Trek figures, that's what keeps us going. That's what sustains us. I mean, we still love you, but every once in a while, we want to love ourselves. And we also want to share this passion to not only our friends, but hopefully our own children, because I keep telling my brother and my friend here, Rob, hey, if I should die, please take care of my collection and actually get that collection sold, so that the money that it has value in, my wife and my son would get it. So that's it. I'm getting ready to pack. I'm gonna get one more beautiful piece that I put together the past few days. Hopefully it'll fit in my car so it can drive back with me to Maryland. And until the next adventure. All right. Have a good morning.